I guess the really cool thing that I'm contemplating at the moment is this realization that intuition is developable, or the ability to see patterns and do complex problem solving almost instantly is developable. Like anything that you want to be good at that you think is a talent or some kind of inherent skill that people are born with is developable, like just about anything. So I wanted to document some thoughts and feelings that I'm having about this. It's not intended to be advice or guidance if you're new. It's just a video diary. This is what's going on in my mind right now. Maybe it'll help you have some insights of your own and we can all grow together. So I started thinking about the fact that a lot of the time people will rush things because they feel like they need to be more efficient. Like, okay, so I'm not very good at this, so I need to hurry up. And you'll see this a lot in careers or even just in jobs, like when you're going to work and you feel like you're kind of falling behind, or even students studying, you feel like you're falling behind, so you rush, you kind of hack through it and you do it incorrectly really quickly. So what you're teaching yourself there is how to do stuff wrong really fast. And there's a famous line in The Simpsons when Homer Simpson creates a new identity for himself and he becomes Max Power. And he says to his son, there's 3 ways to do things: the right way, the wrong way, and the Max Power way. And Max Power is his new identity. And his son asks, isn't that just the wrong way? And he says, yes, but faster. And basically that's what we're programming ourselves to do if we're trying to speed up our efficiency by rushing, because all that we're going to do is make more mistakes and we're going to teach ourselves more negative habits, bad habits, and we're going to program ourselves to fail. And the way to combat that is to actually slow right down, pay attention to what we're doing, and just make sure that even if it takes us 10 times as long as we believe it should take us, that we do it correctly. And that's how we begin to develop what appears to be that almost superpower nature that you see other people having, and you're kind of envying it. You're going how can people be so efficient? How can people do these things so smoothly and easily? Well, the answer is they allowed themselves the time and space to develop those skills and abilities. There's a really good book called Thinking Fast and Slow by Daniel Kahneman. Don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but it's close enough for you to Google that and find out who he is. It's one of the best books that I've ever read. I've gone back to it time and time again, and I've contemplated it for months and months after I read it. And he breaks down basically how our mind works into these 2 systems. And he says it's not that you literally have 2 systems going on in your brain, but just for the purposes of making it simple enough for us to talk about, there's system 1 and there's system 2. So I think I might get them back to front, but system 1 is your intuitive mind. It's instantaneous. You don't have to think about it. It's built, it's all of the patterns that you've already identified through slow and careful observation of reality and, data collection. And then your other system is that slower, rational mind that takes the time to think deeply about the subject and, wrap your head around it. So as you learn more about reality, or you learn more about a very specific field, I've been practicing communication for a long time. So for somebody else to articulate these points that I'm making right now, they might have to think about it a lot, and they might have to pause, backtrack, repeat themselves, go around in circles a little bit before they find the point that they're really trying to make. But because I've developed all of these patterns and I know how to communicate in all these different ways, I've got a lot more data in my awareness to choose from. So I can use that system 1, that's that instantaneous, you don't need to think about it, it just kind of happens. And, I'm trying to say that we can develop that with anything. I was talking to a roommate, and he has been a chef for a really long time. He was describing the way that he works in the kitchen, and he can have 100 dockets up on the wall, like 100 meals that he has to make, and he can just see it he doesn't have to go and read each docket over and over again to make sure that he's on track. He knows like all of the steaks that he needs to cook, all of the vegetables that he needs to cook, all of the sides that need to go out, all of the different sauces that need to be prepared, and he can even like do like 20 meals at a time and have like these 13 steaks cooking that are going to be ready for these meals over here. Like that kind of thing is what I'm talking about, where it seems like a superpower. Like I could never ever step foot in a kitchen and prepare 100 meals in an hour all together at once and have them all showing up to the correct tables exactly as they were ordered and making the customers very happy. But when somebody has spent that much time slowly and deliberately developing those skills, it's automatic. The other really popular example is like chess masters who can walk past a chess game and they can figure out how to win that chess game in like 3 moves just instantly. Like glance at the board, they've got all the information they need. That's that same thing. They've slowly and deliberately practiced their chess game so many times and seen so many potential outcomes, got so many patterns accessible in that other system, that intuitive system of the brain, that it's just like you don't need to think about it. It's automatic. And in that book that I mentioned, Thinking Fast and Slow by Daniel Kahneman, he uses an even better example that allows, like really illustrates the point. So if you've got like a toddler and they've seen a whole bunch of dogs, like pet dogs, eventually they're not going to have to figure out what a dog is anymore. They're just going to see a dog and they're going to go, doggy. Like that's the simplest version of, that system 2 converting into system 1. But the first bunch of times that you see new information, you have to take it in slowly and deliberately and allow your rational mind to dance with it. Once you've already made all of your predictions about it and locked in all the patterns and thoughts about it, which can also be a negative thing if you are locking in too many assumptions and beliefs about reality that are actually limiting your understanding of life. Like this is why it's important to also sit back and contemplate very deeply like how I arrived at the conclusions that I have about reality. Sometimes dismantle my model of reality, my belief system, my epistemology, so that I can add new data in to this intuitive system. Because if you stop feeding new information into that intuitive system at an early age, you can imagine that, I said the chess master can walk past the chess board and just glance at it and say, yep, 3 moves and I win the game. If you played 3 chess games and said, okay, now I'm just going to trust my intuition, and you walk past the chessboard and you go move those 3 pieces, you're going to look like a rambling lunatic because you're going to be absolutely wrong and everybody's going to be like, what the fuck are you talking about? So back to what is really my key point for this video, go back to that slow, deliberate practice. Like, even if you are a chess master, the reason why somebody is a chess master is because they never think that they've seen every single pattern. So they do that slow, deliberate practice every single day, even if they have mastered chess. Same with like somebody who is master guitar player. They'll practice their chords every day. They'll do like little finger picking like exercises. They'll always be exercising the basics and the fundamentals and coming back to the basics. Anybody who's really incredible at doing complex stuff, like at that superhuman level that I'm talking about, they're the ones that are actually probably the most humble and spending the most time slowing right down with that very deliberate practice. And I use myself as an example with this communication thing all the time. When I first started making video journals, these were incoherent. There was like 2 years worth of this video diary YouTube channel that's been deleted because it was absolutely unwatchable, because I was still developing like my abilities to express myself like in this fashion where there's no plan, there's no preconceived idea about what's going to come out of my mouth. Now I can flow with it. So it's a fun thing to realize that, intuition or this type of ability is developable, and you can go away and you can make changes to your life. Because it's one thing, it's pretty exciting to think, okay, intuition's developable. I can develop like an almost superhuman ability to do anything that I want as long as I go back to the slow, deliberate practice. But on the other hand too, even if you don't have the discipline to go back to the slow, deliberate practice and develop superhuman abilities, which are really just human abilities, but everybody's so distracted and got such short attention spans and not doing anything productive anymore that a normal human ability seems superhuman these days. Yeah, it would just be, even if you don't have the discipline to go develop your abilities, even just knowing that by rushing things to be more efficient, you're actually destroying your efficiency, might just calm you down enough. Like, you stop wasting so much of your energy trying to rush through all these things that you think you're not good at, and you might just relax a little bit. And even just relaxing a little bit, going back to basics at your job or at your study, or even with a hobby that you've been interested in that you've just been like really frustrated and stressed about, like, it could change everything just to go back to relaxing. And just like, if playing guitar, like, go back to playing the basic chords and just doing that every single day for a month, and then realize like you're actually a better guitar player than all of the complex, like, for the months and months that you spent trying to do all this complicated stuff, learn these incredible songs or do these things that you saw somebody else doing and you envied them. There's no need to get into that competitive mindset. It's actually really boring to become really amazing at things. It's a lot of the basics, a lot of, slow, deliberate practice, and not being incredible all the time. Like, we all probably have that image of just being like a star, or being like the best in our field, or the best at what we dream of being, you know. Like, if you wanted to be like the best football player in the world or whatever, you're probably going to spend a lot of time doing push-ups and sit-ups and jogging around the field by yourself. Like, those are the things that really matter. And I think my hope is that if I can articulate how this like superhuman ability type thing is developable, and if I can articulate how simple it is to actually develop it, that people might actually stop and go, hey, I can be anything that I want to be. And tomorrow might end up being a very different day than it would have been if you had just continued on, like, being stressed and frustrated about not being as incredible as you wish that you were. Because it's all available. It's just that the maps that we've been given to move through life are really not the maps. The map does not match the territory. If you're going through like your mainstream school education, or you're taking in all the information from like mainstream television programming or pop culture, or wherever your information is coming from, all of those kinds of information, the map does not match the territory, and you'll end up very lost very quickly. Any new agey stuff where they're telling you like just stand in the mirror and tell yourself you're beautiful, like, really, what are you telling yourself? Like, what, like, your subconscious is hearing is like, you don't believe that you're beautiful. Like, all of these things, like, actually go into like, okay, why am I not getting the result that I want? Why do I not feel the way I want to feel? Why am I not who I want to be? Answer those questions and then do something about it. And this is one of the fundamental keys to becoming who you want to be. Understanding this, that everything that you want to be is developable. There's no talent or skill or ability or anything that's beyond your reach if you understand that it's as simple as just going back to basics, that slow, deliberate practice. Get on that stuff and be the example. If you get anything out of these videos, please let me know in the comments below. Subscribe if you haven't already. Click that like button for me, and don't hesitate to check out kylives.com.